Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Friday, August 26th. And the big story is going to be a pretty persistent pattern. We're going to see temperatures really hover right around that 80-degree mark right into the middle of next week. So it's going to be fairly warm, and we're going to have a couple of chances of showers and thunderstorms. Our next chance will come as we get into the day on Saturday, into Saturday night, into early Sunday, and then I think it'll clear up for later in the day on Sunday. So right now, Saturday morning and Sunday afternoon looks to be the best periods. Between then, showers and thunderstorms. It won't be raining all the time, but certainly a good chance of thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. So the big headlines are going to be it's going to be sunny and less humid today with highs around 80. Again, right out through next week. And then the big hurricane threat for the Gulf states looks like now the western coast of Florida be the most vulnerable down to the southern tip of Florida. And then it's going to merge out into the Gulf and could become a very major hurricane, maybe a Category 3 or Category 4 even if it avoids landfall as it progresses from the Bahamas into the Gulf. So something we're going to keep an eye on. And certainly the shift has been a little bit westward, which brings places like Louisiana, even in Texas, into play. But Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, where they've already been hard hit with rain, this is the last thing you need. And it looks like that threat is increasing. If we look at the normals for the day, our normal high is 79, the normal low is 56. Last year on this date, we had a high of 64 and a low of 56. If we look at the conditions around the area from yesterday, you can see temperatures are in the low to mid 80s, so a pretty warm day out there, very, very humid. And some areas picked up quite a bit of rainfall, 7,200s in Henderson, 7,400s over at London, 6,200s at St. Thomas. And those two areas picked up about an inch and a half of rain here over the last couple of days. And again, a lot of areas around 2/10 of an inch. And then southeast lower Michigan over to Tupperville didn't record any rain at our stations there. If we look at the conditions out there this morning, temperatures are certainly much less humid than they were yesterday and about 5 to 7 degrees cooler with temperatures now in the low to mid 60s. And again, today is going to be a great day with lots of sunshine out there and highs around 80. Now let's take a look at the hurricane tracks. This is from yesterday, and you're going to notice here on the next slide the big shift to the west. This definitely puts southern Florida, and especially for the Panhandle and then back towards Louisiana, maybe even parts of Texas. But right now, the big area of concern, I think, is from the eastern Louisiana all the way around to the Texas Panhandle. I think that's where the hurricane looks like it could track. So really to the right of the hurricane, that's where you usually get the worst conditions with the highest winds and most rainfall. And we'll see that system come up into the Gulf and then turn to the northeast as it looks. Now, if it takes the western track, that could have some moisture implications for us down the road. But certainly plenty of time to look at that right now. As we get into the very late weekend, into early next week is when that storm should begin to affect parts of the southern U.S. This is the midnight run of the ensembles of the GFS, and this would be just terrible news for parts of Alabama and Mississippi and even into Louisiana. But certainly these areas to the right of that track could be under the gun for just tremendous amounts of rain and wind, something they really don't need. If we look at the moisture conditions, again, with all the rainfall the last couple of days, we continue to pile up some pretty wet conditions with lots of 4 and 5 inch rainfalls across the MAC area. If we look at the satellite picture this morning, you can see we're cleared out now, but we are going to see a return flow already beginning to show up, and this will begin to produce precipitation later on tomorrow. And again, we're going to see this, so you can see how this big Bermuda high is steering these clouds around to the south into the Gulf and then up. That's also what's going to help track that hurricane from the Bahamas. And still, it's just a disturbance now, but once it gets into the Bahamas, it's going to really rapidly intensify. And as it goes between Florida and Cuba, it looks like it could be about a Category 2 hurricane, so or more. But something we'll keep an eye on as it begins to affect the United States here over the next few days. On radar, you can see no activity across the state right now, and this activity will move up to the north and eventually around into our area as we get in later into the day on Saturday. If we look at the forecast map for today, you can see our low pressure system that's going to be moving up that front. It's going to bring some moisture to the area combined with the front coming down from the south. That'll give us some moisture as we get into Saturday. So no real big storm, just a lot of push of warm air and moisture coming out of the Gulf right up into the Great Lakes, part of that tropical feed. And that's what's going to touch off some of them thunderstorms as we have very, very humid and moist air that's going to be heading into the Great Lakes over the weekend. As we look at the precipitation, I'll look over the next 72 hours from the WPC, about a quarter to half inch, maybe a little bit more across western lower Michigan. And over the next 7 days, Not a whole lot more across the southeast lower Michigan, but more increased moisture will be coming up across the Corn Belt into the northern Midwest. But for us, looks like about a quarter to half inch, maybe 2/3 of an inch in some areas here over the next 7 days. But certainly we're going to want to keep an eye on that tropical moisture, and that could have a little bit bigger implications here as we get into the middle and end of next week. But really with this track like this, we're going to see a pretty good ridge hold across the northern U.S. That's going to bring us warm conditions here over the next 2 weeks. And in fact, with the train of tropical systems going down to the south, this really could, we could end up with our growing degree days rivaling among the top that we've seen over the last 20 years. And we'll have a full growing degree day update for all the locations and for Breckenridge historically here as we get in on our Monday forecast. As far as temperatures, again, over the next 6 to 10 days, above normal for much of the central and eastern U.S. And if we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, we're solidified in that warm weather pattern. And as far as precipitation, the northern states will see above normal precipitation, but a lot of times it'll be there'll be some nice weather on. We're just waiting. We'll see these fronts move through about every 2 or 3 days, pick up that moisture and rain it out across the northern states into the East Coast. And again, for the 8 to 14 day outlook, again, overall, I think we got a lot of nice weather. But again, as these fronts come through about every 3 days, we'll have a good chance of showers and thunderstorms interacting with that warm and moist air off to the south. Thanks for stopping by and have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and 73s to all.